Good day, everyone. Professor Benavides here. Let's talk about Appendix C, getting help. So in the beginning of this appendix, the question is posed, what is this appendix about? Everyone gets stuck at some point when they're learning to program. So one of the most important skills to learn as a programmer is how to get unstuck efficiently. This appendix outlines several ways to help you get going again when programming gets confusing. So what's the first step? The first steps. Before you ask for help, what should you do? When you're stuck, the first step should be to assess your situation. Before you ask for help from anyone, answer the following three questions clearly. Number one, what are you trying to do? Number two, what have you tried so far? And number three, what results have you been getting? Make your answers as specific as possible. For the first question, explicit statements like I'm trying to install the latest version of Python on my Windows 10 laptop are detailed enough for others in the Python community to help you. Statements like I'm trying to install Python. It doesn't provide enough information for others to offer much help. Your answer to the second question should provide enough detail so that you won't be advised to repeat what you're already tried. I went to https://python.org/downloads and clicked the downloads button for my system. Then I ran the installer. Is more helpful than I went to the Python website and downloaded something. For the third question, it helps to know the exact error message you received when when you search online for a solution or provide them when asking for help. So sometimes just answering these three questions before you ask for help from others allows you to see something you've missed and gets you unstuck without having to go any further. Okay, so let's stop here and let's look at the situation. It's easier to talk about this than to feel it. When you are in this situation, it doesn't feel real good, and beginners get nervous. I mean, I know a lot of times when students come to me, and a lot of times, like when they come into Zoom, they just say, I just wanted to show you the code. Well, let's talk about it first. Have you gone through these questions? What are you trying to do? What have you tried so far, and what results have you been getting? Of course, some things that that Eric is not talking about here is that these questions need to be evaluated with logic and thought. Like, say, for example, if you've done the same thing 10 times and it's not working, you got to figure out why it's not working. So you've got to go into debug mode. Definitely, you've got to go in and go through the problem solving process and try and figure out. But of course, for right now, the situation is how to get help from some other people. And the idea here is that before you ask for help from other people, ask yourself these questions. And many times when you ask yourself these three questions, you get an aha situation. That's what happens here when he says sometimes. Just answering these three questions before you ask for help from others allows you to see something you've missed or that you're missing and gets you unstuck without having to go any further. So what is this called? Programmers call this situation call it rubber duck debugging. Yes. The idea is that if you clearly explain your situation to a rubber duck, I'm not making this up, right? Or an inanimate object and ask it a specific question, you'll often be able to answer your own question. Some programming shops even keep a real rubber duck around to encourage people to talk to the duck. So, I often tell students I have a lot of internal conversations with myself when I'm, you know, um, um, problem solving and debugging things. And that's pretty much, I'm asking myself these questions. So I'm doing this rubber duck debugging, even though I don't have a rubber duck on my desk. Now, there's nothing wrong with having a rubber duck on your desk. In fact, if you want to find out more about the rubber duck debugging, if you'll click on this little link right here, rubber duck debugging, you can hear something about it. Of course, you get a little, looks like you get a little ad right here. Now let's skip that.
Today, we're going to talk about rubber duck debugging. That's absolutely necessary. This episode is brought to you by FizzBuzzEnergy.com. When you need to hit that deadline, grab some coding energy.
FizzBuzz sounds good to me.
And makes the ultimate desktop accessory. Go to FizzBuzzEnergy.com. When you're writing software, the one thing that we know for sure for everybody, regardless of experience, you will get stuck. There's going to be a problem that you can't solve immediately. Now, whether you're a seasoned vet or you're a code newbie in your second day of learning to code, you're going to get stuck. So the question is, how do you get unstuck? And one of the techniques that's very popular is called rubber duck debugging. Rubber ducky, you're the one. Now, if you don't know what that is, keep watching. If you do, please leave a comment and tell us some of your best rubber duck debugging stories. We'd love to hear from you. Let's get started with rubber duck debugging. So you're writing code and you're building a project and you run into a problem.
I'm going to let you watch the rest of this. It's a good, I think it's a good little video. It's not part of your book explanation of rubber duck debugging, but I thought I'd throw that in there. So what is rubber duck debugging? You know, it's asking yourself these questions to get to that aha kind of experience where you find out that you're missing something. So what are some other things that you can do? Well, just try it again. It's amazing how, I mean, I've often started again from the very beginning. A lot of my students, they just don't want to start again. They did it once and then they stop. So, you know, if you go through the steps again and go through them more carefully or more thoroughly, you might find something that you've misinterpreted or something that you missed. So yes, by all means, go through the steps again and see if you are missing something, right? Another thing is take a break. I've learned this is really important. You know, you want to go ahead and take a break and I mean, sometimes I work so many hours and I know I got to get something done. The best thing to do is just go to sleep and just wake up the next day. And it's amazing how I'm able to just go ahead and do a whole lot of things. So taking a break or go to sleep, you got to do something. See, what happens is that if you work for a long time, your brain only sees one solution. We lose sight of the assumptions that we've made, and taking a break helps us to get a fresh perspective on the problem. So, you know, what do we mean by take a break? I mean, it doesn't have to be a long break, just something that gets you out of your current mindset, you know? So you may want to do something physical, like take a short walk or go outside or drink a glass of water, right? Or eat a light and healthy snack, right? But if you're getting really frustrated, just call it a day. Get a good night's sleep. Of course, you don't want to get frustrated if it's like 1 hour before you need to turn in something, and because you know what, you do need to throw time at this stuff, but you just can't wait to the very last minute, right? So, but if you're getting frustrated, just call it a day, go to sleep, and I think this is really important. I've used this all the time. All the times I wake up in the morning and I've got the answer, right? So this will almost always make a problem more approachable. We're talking about making the problem more approachable. So he also says that you can go to the book's website, and he has a lot of helpful sections about, you know, such things as setting up your system and working through each chapter. I think I've shown you this before. Let me just go ahead and show you that again on here. So here's the author's website. You can go If you scroll down, we can go to the second edition and click on online resources. And on the right-hand side, left-hand side, right, um, you'll see things like challenges beyond Python crash course. There's a lot of there's cheat sheets. If you want to contact the author, you can click on contact. There's Eric's email address. There's also he's got some really interesting things on here that are not related to getting help, but you may be wanting to read sooner or later, such as finding employment, challenges beyond. Let's look at some of these things. Like you've got some. He's thrown in a lot of extra little topics, like he talked about random dealing with random functions, but if you want to drill down on randomness a little bit more, he's got a lot of extra information on here. So I'm very impressed, shall I say, with the book. Clicking on setup instructions, this shows you how to set up Python on Windows, the Mac, and Linux. And a lot of times that's our first situation that we need help with. We're having trouble, like maybe installing Python on our rig, but you got to problem solve these things. And I remember one student who had a problem, and it really wasn't the software; it was his computer was having hardware issues. So you got to be able to evaluate the situation. And the only way to do that many times is to have a body of knowledge on here. So that's the Python crash course website. It's an excellent website. I highly recommend that you spend a little time on here. And let's come back to our Appendix C. Another thing that you can do to get help is search online. Who doesn't look for things online, guys? Come on. I would have done anything to have gone through college like you all. If you have a problem, really all you got to do is look it up on the internet. Do I have to tell you that probably somebody has already worked on a similar problem like that before, right? So the idea here is that when you're doing your searches, try and limit your searches to the most current. Be very specific about the exact error message that you're getting, and use full phrases when you're doing your searches, like in double quotes, and that'll help you find the answer or get to your solution faster. When searching for programming related topics, a few sites will appear repeatedly. One is called Stack Overflow. Now, this one's really popular. It's good and it's bad. Now, first of all, let me go ahead and tell you, there's the link to it. Let me just click on it. This Stack Overflow on here. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on here, but this is a place where you can go ahead and members can post questions when they're stuck, and other members will try and get responses. What happens here is that as time goes on, a lot of developers end up copying and pasting stuff from here. And it's good and bad. The good part is that you may solve your problem. The bad part about it is if you're having to maintain it and it breaks, you may not know how to fix it. The other part is that a lot of students, I'll say students, not necessarily developers, will do copy and paste from the internet. And I get it. I get like homework on stuff, and I say, my God, how did this person, this is just a beginner and they've got all this code. Well, of course I know they copied and pasted it from the internet. It's like that's what happens with the English papers, right? They just go on the internet and copy like paragraphs and paragraphs and paragraphs, and somehow or another they end up with the research paper. Same thing happens with programming. So people know. Be careful with when you copy and paste from on the internet. I say people know. Other programmers will know when you're copy and pasting. So if you're wanting to watch one person discuss the problems of the copy and paste developers, let's click on this little video. And she does an excellent discussion of the problems of copying and pasting.
Welcome to Coffee Talk. I'm your host, Linda Richmond. Hello, developers. It's Rosa Candy back online with you guys today, talking about a question I got a couple days ago about copying code. Are there benefits to copying code? When should I copy code? Is it okay to copy code? And I think these concerns kind of originate with our first experiences at the one and only Stack Overflow. Let's be honest, it has helped millions upon millions of developers, regardless of the type of software development. It has helped almost everyone who's ever hit a roadblock when coding, and all of us have hit multiple roadblocks, and most of us have been to Stack Overflow multiple times. Today, we're going to talk about some of the benefits of Stack Overflow, some of the traps of Stack Overflow, and try to be fair to Stack Overflow, because a lot of us have had some really negative experiences.
I'm going to let you finish that video if you want to watch it, but it's an interesting situation, you know, that's happening with Stack Overflow. You can also go to the official Python documentation. Here's the link for it here. And the idea here is this: the purpose is more to document the language than to provide explanations. So the examples in the documentation may not be understandable by beginners. Okay, so if you click on this little link here, you go directly to the docs. If you wanted to go, you know, like if you go to like just www.python.com, is that where? Oh, how did I go there? I got a new keyboard, guys. I'm still learning how to do it. Okay. I don't know why it's going to that. That's kind of weird. But anyway, this is where I was trying to go. HTTP. I was going to show you how if you go to let's try it again here. If you go to like, oh, because I was typing in www, right? It's just python.com. Is that it? That's the way it is. Let's just try that again. So if I come over here and go, oh, still going there. Well, that is kind of weird. Well, I guess I'll figure that out later. At least I've got the link to the place where I need to be. I need to be here in this documentation. And okay, so I'll figure that out some other time. But basically, here it is. This is the Python documentation, and I can't let loose of that. Let me try that on another browser. Let me go to Chrome. I don't want to always blame everything on my new keyboard here. But what is it? Is it www.python? Am I misspelling it? Is it .org or .com? Yeah. Was I typing in .com, guys? Yeah, it's .org. Okay. So sorry about that. So let me try it again over here. And you know I don't give up. I don't give up. You know, on here. So if I go to www.python.org. Oh, there it is. That was what the problem was. Talk about, you know, what did I just do? I went through the debugging process. I went through the problem solving process. I repeated it. I questioned myself. And see, these questions that you pose to yourself, that's your internal thought. You're testing and you evaluate. That's called the scientific method. The scientific method is when I propose a hypothesis to my problem, I do it, I test it, I see it, I verify it, and then I reiterate through it. But anyway, all I wanted to do was go to this website, and I was typing in, I think .com instead of .org, and click on docs. Fine, I got to the same place, right? So basically, the idea is, I just want to show you, if you go to python.org and then click on docs, you get to the same place. Now, if you're dealing with something, you always want to be working with the current version that you have. So if you click on the little down arrow, you can then choose the one you have. Y'all remember how to find out your version? Let me see if I can go ahead and remember that. I'm going to go to CMD. And what do? You type in Python. It's been a long time since I did this. So I have Python 3.8.5, right? So then I would want to be looking at my 3.8. You know, if I wanted to be, you know, more specific, if I wanted to be very specific about, you know, things. Now, here you'll see all kinds of good stuff. You'll see what's new, a tutorial. The tutorial is not the best. I think a lot of times, really, people who write books, they come here, they look at this stuff, and then they say, you know what, I can say this easier, or I can say it better. But as you can see here, most books will start you off with the Python interpreter. They give you a little introduction to Python. Notice how they then go and talk about the flow of control with selection constructs. Then they talk about, repetition constructs, and then they talk about functions, and then they talk about the data structures, such as, lists and dictionaries and all that, and then they go into modules, input and output. So it pretty much, in classes, that kind of looks like our book, guys, right? So after you cover functions, we go into classes, and then they, it just goes on and on and on and on. So, like for example, if you wanted to look up the if statement, you can click on that. You get some good examples on here at the terminal, as well as some code. And guess what? Yes, you can cut and paste it. A lot of times, if you want to learn something, you can cut and paste it. I have found solutions to some of the problems I had by just looking at similar code online. So yes, you may want to refer to the official Python documentation. I've got a little video here, and it's pretty much going to just show you what I already showed you here, but it's excellent.
I'm Ola, and this is Coding is for Girls.
It's coding for girls, but I thought it was good. You ought to give it a chance. Let her teach you a little bit about how to use the Python documentation website.
So far, we learned a very basics of Python programming language. And if you feel lost, you should not worry. It's normal. There's a lot of knowledge you need to absorb, and it takes time. Lately, when I was uploading one of my Python basics videos, someone pointed me out that I really need links to the Python documentation. The thing is that Python documentation is very difficult, and it's very, very hard for beginners to make any sense of that. That is why I decided that I will dedicate a whole episode just talking about Python documentation. How to use it, how to find information you are looking for, and what the things described there means. First thing to remember is that when you start to learn Python, there's absolutely no obligation for you to read whole Python documentation. And it is so, so big that I doubt that any person, any programmer out there actually read everything from the very beginning to the end. Maybe there is some.
She'll walk you through that website. Let me see if I can just, so see how she's going to walk you through all the different parts. I only showed you the tutorial, but you probably should know that there's other links that you can click on, such as the library reference, the language reference, and then she goes over the different examples and continues to drill down on how you can use it. And her summary at the very end is an excellent little summary on, it just shows you how you can use some of that code to learn. So I was pretty impressed with this little video. I think you should give it a shot. So there's also the official library, documentation. If you're using a specific library, we're talking about Pygame. We haven't covered these yet, but these libraries are used in the projects at the end of your book. So in my class, I only go up to chapter 11, but some of the other people that teach this class, like Professor Lewis, he goes and covers chapters 12, 13, and 14, the game. So he will then be showing you he would have shown you how to import the Pygame library. But anyway, there's other libraries, and here are some links to these other libraries. And this is almost going, not almost, these are really going in, from now on. The rest of these help topics, I'm not really sure why we're covering them, because they get pretty advanced, guys. I mean, if you're talking about Reddit, we're talking about some subforums that are called subreddits. Here's the link to it. it's a place where you can go ahead and read other questions and post your own. I think I think it's something that you will probably find is probably used by more advanced programmers. So if you click on the link, it'll take you to it. You can see some of the things that they're talking about. They're talking about automation. Let's see here. They're talking about, oh, this is an interesting topic. I'd like to, what is the difference between compiling and Python interpreting? Oh, that this would be a good topic, I think, for, I mean, after you do your first class in Python. Here's another good question here. How should you structure a Python project? Oh my, yeah, that's excellent. Definitely. See, so as you can see, these are excellent, actually getting me interested in drilling down on these right away. But I need to get off of this because I need to finish finishing up talking about this appendix. So as you could see, those were some interesting questions. I shouldn't have put it down so early. There's also some blogs. I put a link to the 10 top Python blogs here that you can go ahead and these are blogs that programmers maintain where you can also post and share comments on some of them are specific on specific comment areas. There's also something called the Internet Relay Chat. Now, this is probably something for more advanced programmers. So some programmers interact in real time through something called Internet Relay Chat. I don't know if you're ready to go ahead and interact with others in real time, but you should know what are, I think for right now, we just need to be aware that there's something called Internet Relay Chat also. Making an account is not the easiest kind of thing to do. So I'm going to pretty much just breeze through that area. Slack is a modern day reinvention of RIC, and here's the link to that. I'm also going to leave that for you to go ahead and drill down. For right now, I just want you to know what these terms are, what they represent. There's something called a Python Discord, and it's an online chat environment, and that's the last place that that your author lists, that Eric lists. Let's click at this last place. This is a really cool little video that they've got on that website. And let's go ahead and let's find out what Python Discord is.
This is Dave. Dave wants to learn how to code. He's been told that Python is a good beginner language, but doesn't know where to start. Which resources are best for beginners? What kind of editor should he use? And where can he find something to practice with? Enter Python Discord. At Python Discord, Dave can claim a help channel whenever he's stuck and get help from other developers. As his skills improve, he can join one of our coding events and work in a team to compete for prizes like hoodies and t-shirts.
I would like a little hoodie, wouldn't you? Okay, so that's about all I want to say for this. I think the beginning of this appendix is probably the most important because it helps us to focus on asking ourselves some important questions that can help us bring us to that aha experience that makes us more aware of something that we have left out or that we didn't see. But it also brings out the fact that if you're going to ask for help from other people, be specific. A lot of times I really associate with this because I get like messages from people and the questions they ask are so general and they're just saying, I had problems downloading the Python. Well, how am I supposed to respond to something like that? That wasn't very specific. I don't even know what operating system they're on, what version they were trying to download, where they were trying to download it from. Not very specific. Okay, so if you're gonna ask questions to other people, well, first of all, make sure you've answered these 3 questions on your own because you may very well answer them on your own. But if you're going to ask questions to other people, be specific. That's the thing that you got to take away from this Appendix C. And, you know, this business about asking yourself these questions, it's a situation that happens many times. Like, say, for example, you go to someone and as soon as you ask the question, you say, never mind, I know the answer. Why does that happen? It's because you never had a chance to go ahead and explain it with that kind of of detail. You get that aha experience when you finally go to someone and ask them a question in a specific way, when you could have done that by yourself, or you could have done that by asking that question to the rubber duck. And asking the question in a specific way to the rubber duck is a technique that is used in some programming shops. You'll see the little rubber duck, and it's used to make people, I think, have this, internal conversation or questioning. I call it, the problem solving process. I call it, your what you're doing here is you're engaging in the scientific process and evaluating things and using logic. You can't escape. You can't just do the same thing over and over and over and over again. You've got to evaluate and think through the problem that you're having and propose a solution that you then test and reiterate. Okay, so that's my addition to this Appendix C. I hope that you found it helpful and that you start talking to the rubber ducky. All right, thank you very much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you. Goodbye.